Good morning and welcome to Elisa Maria Designs Self-Care Sunday. Welcome back if you are back, and welcome if you are new. I'm glad that you found my channel and that you tuned in for Self-Care Sunday. I'm just setting up, I'm showing you the area that I am going to be working on and what I'm using, Patsy's Putty in a mango scent, very light. And I'm using Dreamer Designs wax, which I just love. This is not a Dreamer Design canvas. This is Diamond Art Club, and it's called Bud, the tabby cat. And what is so interesting about this, other than it reminds me of my Foofy, I don't know if he'll be making any appearances today, but each little section, and I have a tiny section that I'm working on, is like a mosaic. It's really just so beautiful, and I'm glad that I pulled it back out because this guy is the guy that started it all, Self-Care Sunday. So I am setting up, getting ready to diamond paint, and I'm showing you the areas that I will be working on. I have a very small section there. I'm using Patsy's Putty in a very lightly scented mango and Dreamer Designs wax, which I love. It's like a putty, but it's also like a wax. This is not a Dreamer Design canvas. This is Diamond Art Club, Bud the Tabby Cat, and I love this canvas. And that's why I'm taking small sections. Each section is kind of like a mosaic, and because I get overwhelmed with confetti, I take smaller sections because I don't want to get frustrated. You know, that's part of self-care, right? You know, we adjust. And I take smaller sections so that I don't get frustrated or overwhelmed, and so that I can enjoy this process of diamond painting and also enjoy this beautiful canvas. Because if you love confetti, oh, I'm so happy for you. I can't say that I love one or the other. I'm doing another canvas that is a lot of color blocking, and I thought, wow, this is great. It's a beautiful canvas. It was custom made for me by Dreamer Designs, but it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge with all the black and with the color blocking. But if you love confetti, oh, I love you for it. And I love being able to do these little sections a little bit at a time and really enjoy the beautiful payoff that you get with confetti. Today is the third week in this series, The Listening Path. The Listening Path is a book by Julia Cameron, who is the author also of The Artist Way. In the beginning of this year, in the beginning of every year, I do the Artist Way, and a series of events happened after, 2024 was rung in that prevented me from really continuing on with that series. And I thought, well, the Listening Path boils down the 12-week Artist Way, and it boils it down to 6 weeks. And I really love the Listening Path. So we're on the third week, which is really chapter 2. I'm including the introduction. And the introduction was going over, if you are a student of the Artist Way, you know what the basic tools are. But if you are not, what are they? The basic tools of the Artist Way is that you get up in the morning and you write 3 pages in a composition book, in your journal, in a spiral bound book, in loose leaf paper, and put it in an envelope, however you are comfortable. But you write 3 pages in longhand, front and back, stream of consciousness writing. What is that? That is whatever thought bubbles are coming into your head as you sit down to write. It doesn't have to make sense. Your sentences don't have to make sense. It does not have to make sense at all. You are just writing whatever is popping into your mind in longhand. What is that? That is not abbreviating. You don't say don't or can't. You say in your writing, you write out do not and cannot. You don't abbreviate. You don't say LOL. You say, and you write laughing out loud. We are slowing the brain down. As you write, you're going to be you might just be like trying to capture everything. It's kind of like waking up from a dream and you're trying to remember the dream. And so you're writing anything that's popping into your head. And it's going to be very frenzied at time. Your handwriting is going to be very quick. And by writing out the word fully and not abbreviating it, you are slowing the brain down. And once you get rid of all those thought bubbles, it's like cleaning out the attic. You start to get down, you start to work your way down to the basement is what you're doing. You're starting to get down to, you've removed all the clutter, and now you can really see what is going on with you. How are you really feeling? What are you really thinking? What's really going on? You are listening to you. So that's basic tool 1 of the artist way, and it's a fabulous way to get in touch, to be your own psychotherapist is what I call it. The second tool of the artist way is to take yourself out on a date. You and only you. This is your self-care. This is your recovery to your creative self. Basically is what the artist way is about. It's a spiritual journey and a recovery of your artist, of your inner child, of yourself. So you take yourself out on a date. You can walk the neighborhood and snap some pictures. You can go to a restaurant you've been wanting to try out. You can take yourself to the movies. You can go on a walk. You can go on a museum. You can go to the dollar store and buy a few items. Anything that catches your eye and go home and use them. I do that a lot. I think I have one Dollar Tree video where I made a haul and I came home and it was an artist date and I shared it with you guys. I don't think I actually told you that it was an artist date, but it was an artist date. And I bought a big giant crayon and I used it in my art journal and I used it in my diamond painting journal, and I bought myself some pretty Crayola crayons. Oh boy, do you remember that as a kid? I used to love getting the big box with the sharpener in it. That was the home Crayola box. You didn't take that to school with you. And I bought myself some metallic crayons and I just played around. And that's what you do. You are unconsciously filling the well. And I guarantee you, if you are an artist in any way, I'm not saying an artist where you paint and work, an artist where you just only paint or you design art, but you will see from filling that well, from allowing all this stuff to pour into you uninterrupted by anyone else's thoughts or feelings or conversation, you will see how this starts to show up in your life, how it starts to open up ideas in your life. And you're like, oh, wow, you know what? I think I got that on that artist date that I went on, or I think I got that from my stream of consciousness writing. It's always so exciting and fascinating to me. And I've been doing this for 20 years. It's the artist way. I'm a student of the artist way for I don't know how long, maybe longer. And then the third tool is my grandmother's tool. It's Julia Cameron's tool also. Go for a walk every day. Go for a walk. Walk around the block, walk around your neighborhood, just walk. It's not for exercise. Well, it is, but don't tell yourself that. I'm going on a walk to fill my creative well. You never know what you're going to see. I'm living in this neighborhood. This is John's neighborhood. I'm newly married, but it's my neighborhood also. I'm a South Philadelphian and I know this neighborhood. And I always like walking down to the Stephen Girard Park. That's something that I do for myself on an artist date. And we have a library right there also. And I love doing that. And I've walked by this beautiful building. I don't know what it was originally, or I'm not remembering right now, but it's called Heads Up. And it's a hair salon. And I was going to Heads Up back in the 80s, and I had very long, thick, wavy, curly hair. Oh gosh, it was gorgeous. I was a hair model. And I said, I'm going to walk by Heads Up, and I'm going to go walk up, and I'm going to go down to Stephen Girard and walk around the park. And I walked up the street, and there's like a little indent that happens from this building where Heads Up, where the hair salon is, and there's an optometrist. And I walked by and I looked and I was like, optometrist. Now I've walked this neighborhood, I can't tell you how many years. And I said, oh my, well, this is really great. He must have just opened. I'm going to, I walked on my glasses the other day. I actually put them down on the floor, got up and stepped on them. I'm like, oh, how lucky for me. Optometrist. I'm going in. He's right in my neighborhood. And I rang the bell and I went in, and what do I see right in front of me are the glasses that I'm wearing. Well, not the ones that I'm wearing, the broken ones that I broke. And I'm like, hey, how long have you guys been here? And she's like, 31 years. And I'm like, what? 31 years? You're kidding me. And she's like, no. I'm like, I went to Heads Up for years, back in the 80s. I mean, I remember, my last hair appointment, when she came out and she said, Elisa, I have something fascinating. I just came back from London and I'm going to put something in your hair that's going to make it more manageable and softer and help these curls and silky. I'm like, oh, okay. And she takes this can out and she sprays this whipped cream in her head, in her hand. And she's like, this is called mousse. I'm like, what is this magic? It does look like whipped cream. I mean, this is how long I've been in this neighborhood, walking this neighborhood. I'm like, you've been here 31 years and I've never noticed you? Because I didn't really ever walk up the street. I would walk on the other side of it. So take a walk in your neighborhood. You never know what you're going to find. And they are the 3 basic tools of the artist's way, and they are still the foundation. Of course they are. This is a boiled down version. This is a 6-week version of the 12-week version of the artist way. Now, maybe the artist way intimidates you because it is a big book. I bought the book originally because every time I walked into Barnes & Noble, it wasn't Barnes & Noble, it was called Borders, and it was a block from my restaurant. And when I needed a break from my restaurant, which was in Rittenhouse Square in Philadelphia, I would run and hide somewhere in someone else's restaurant. But mostly I would run and hide into a bookstore. And I had 2. I had Borders and I had Barnes & Noble. But every time I went into Borders, this book cover caught my eye, The Artist Way. It was like beckoning me, The Artist Way. And I would look at it and walk by. But anytime I approached it, it would fall. I swear to you, it would fall. And I stayed away from it when it was on its like little anchor, on its little easel, because picking it up was heavy. And I remember walking up was it in the artist section or self-care? I think it is self-care actually section, and it fell. And I'm like, what is it with this book? And I would just pick it up and put it on the shelf. And one time I was checking out cashier, and there's the book. This book was everywhere. It was anchored everywhere. And I'm going to pay for my transaction, and this book falls. And I picked it up, and I put it on the counter. And the girl said, oh, no, I got it for you. I said, no, just ring it up. Just ring it up, because every time I'm in here, this book is falling on the floor. And I did not open that book right away. I opened it up when I moved to New York, and really did not know, after running my restaurant for 8 years in Rittenhouse Square, what was the next step, because I had tried going to our flagship store, which was on Spring Street, is on Spring Street in New York City, and it was overwhelming for me. Lombardi's Cold Oven Pizza, it was overwhelming for me, and I thought, I'm in New York, I could be whatever I want to be. I don't want to work with family. That's always a problem. You love your family, don't have them work for you. Just put them on the payroll, but don't have them work for you. That's my advice there. It's just too many chiefs, like too many, everybody wants to be a boss. So, I remember going back home to my apartment. I was living in Battery Park City, right off the Hudson. I would walk the promenade every morning and look at the Statue of Liberty and have thoughts of, my grandparents coming here, my aunt and her children coming here. And I decided that this is where I was going to open this book up and begin to read The Artist's Way. And that really began my journey. That was 2005, I'm going to say. Yeah. And it led me on a very creative path. I went and worked for Anna at the Inkpad, who saw my creative ability and said, "You're a teacher. You're going to teach for me." And I was like, "No, I'm self-taught. I taught myself from books that I bought in Barnes and Noble when I used to run away from the restaurant." She's like, "No, you're a teacher. You're going to teach for me." And that's what I did. And I had a great time. So they are the foundational tools of the Artist Way. And last week we talked about the soundtrack of your life. The sounds that you tune into, the sounds that you tune out, and the sounds that maybe you just kind of ignore because they're annoying. And Julia gave a recap of her morning and the things that the sounds that she hears as she begins her day. And she had asked that we keep a log of the sounds that we hear during the course of the day. And I'm interested if you did the exercise or if you will do it. And I'm interested to know what you found out. You know, if you're doing this series, you're interested in listening, maybe becoming a better listener, or maybe questioning, am I a good listener? And it starts with your environment. What are you tuning into and what are you turning out? And how do they make you feel? Do these sounds make you feel happy, relaxed? Do they make you a little anxious? Do they make you agitated, angry? I will tell you that I get up in the morning. It's pretty quiet. John has already left for work. It's pretty quiet when I get up in the morning. If I don't stumble over Foofy, who is like a 28-pound cat, and he's wrapped around my legs when I get up in the morning. Very quiet morning. I get up, brush my hair, wash my face, brush my teeth, and I go right into my art room where I have a yoga mat, and it's quiet. And I like starting my day like that, but I carve that out for myself. Now, there are days that my husband is home, and I have had to ask. I have had to change. We're two people. We live in this home, and when he goes to practice in his studio, in our home, I can still hear him. I give him that time and space, and I'm like, when I get up in the morning, I cannot, unless you are quietly coming up the steps to hand me a cup of coffee, do not even talk to me. And it's not you, it's me. And I had to, make this relation to him. Like when you get up, like if we kind of cross each other in the hallway, because we both have to get up to use the bathroom, I know, like I'll go in the bathroom and turn the light on. But if I hear him stirring, I turn the light off because that will just disturb him and he will be up. So we've learned how to accommodate each other. I've also asked him to, and it happened when I start reading this book again, and Julia was saying, what are the sounds of your life? Do you wake up to an alarm clock that is just, annoying? Why are you starting your day like that? And I wake up with a musician, and he has the alarm clock because he's partially deaf from from what he has done with his life with music. And we get up to an alarm clock that's blaring, and he gets up early. He's up by 5. Sometimes he's up before the alarm clock and just forgets to turn it off, and then he wakes me up. And I said to him, John, can we find a more gentler way to get up in the morning? And he's like, yeah, I know that alarm clock. It's so loud, isn't it? I'm like, why is it that loud? He's like, I don't know, Leah. I was a bachelor most of my life. I was a bachelor for 57 years. I got up, and like nobody else was here. I didn't have to worry about it. And this is the way I got up in the morning. I got up to the music blaring because I got to go to my day job at the United States Post Office, and then he walks down the hallway, and he turns on the light. This time he'll turn on the light because the light is attached to the radio and the radio is blaring. And when we first got married, and I was like, oh my God, this alarm clock and the radio in the bathroom. And then he walks into his studio where he puts the TV on. And I'm like, you got 3 things going at one time. Oh my God. Like, for me, that's chaotic. But for him, it's a sense of calm. So we have to learn how to adjust. And he, we're married, of course, and we live together. And he watches me now, and he's like, you are so calm, and I want to learn how to be like you. I'm like, well, it starts with the alarm clock. We're going to start there. And we did this book together, and it has helped tremendously because the radio, the alarm clock, the TV, and then he would walk downstairs and he would turn everything on down there, and it was like it was like I was living with a marching band. They were all waking up, and it was one person. So, what can you do to change your environment with these sounds that annoy you? And then Julie was saying how she would get in her car, and there was a piece of paper stuck in her car, and that she would, just deal with it. She would just deal with the paper in the fan until she got a pair of tweezers and tweezed it out. And so, share with me if you would like to, what's the soundtrack? What's the background noise of your life? And I hope that you went out and got the book, and I hope that maybe it springboards you into doing a full artist way. But week 2 is about listening to others. And Julia puts these little quotes, and the first quote, she puts a quote on each page, is from Calvin Coolidge. It takes a great man to be a good listener. I'm going to read to you the first page of week 2 in this chapter, but we are on week 3. This week, we will build upon the habit of listening to our environment and begin to consciously develop the habit of listening to others. We may become aware of a habit of interrupting or of thinking of our response while another is talking instead of really listening. Or we may find that we listen too much without responding, or that we listen to those we should not. Now, I'm really curious. I'm pausing here. Did you recognize yourself in any one of those 3 people who maybe interrupts while someone is talking? Or maybe the person that just listens and doesn't respond? I can tell you that those 2 people are me and my husband. He interrupts when I'm talking, and I'm such a good listener that sometimes I forget to respond. I don't think that either one of us listened to someone that we should not, but maybe you saw that. No matter how good a listener we believe we already are, it is possible to listen more closely to those around us. When we do, the insights our fellows will offer are always surprising and unexpected. When we listen to others, we connect to others. And in this chapter, she writes about listening, but that she listens to people, but that she also listens to those who listen well, and that their insights added to her own. And in this chapter, it's pretty lengthy. She interviews all different people, teachers, doctors, actors, and she gave them all, a really good interview, her friends, and so if you want to become a better listener and you want to examine how other people listen, this is a really, really good chapter. The music of conversation. The second tool on the listening path asks us to listen to others, to tune into what they are actually saying, taking in their words and their intentions. We are asked to listen fully, to register the emotion, the tone and pitch of what is being said. We are asked to register the mood of the speaker to correctly interpret the message being conveyed. When someone says to you, I'm fine, there's so many different ways that you can say, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I said I'm fine. You really have to listen, and somebody might just say I'm fine, very gently, and you can detect that they're not. And that's what Julie was talking about here. I'm fine can be said with sincerity or sarcasm. The tone carries as much information as the words themselves. I'm fine may mean just the opposite. It's up to you to decide. Reporting in on the state of our health, I'm fine, may be accurate or filled with denial. Often we must check in with our intuition to correctly interpret the statement. Two kinds of listening are required: inner listening and outer listening, listening to ourselves and to the others. Genuine conversation requires both forms of listening. Without intending to lie, a speaker may gloss over more difficult feelings. I'm fine becomes the socially accepted bromide. As the listener, it is up to us to dig deeper. A softly stated, really, may lead to a more exploration and revelation. Ruefully, the speaker may admit that they are not perhaps fine. To the contrary, they may be under siege by difficult emotions. Our alert attention to their tone issues an invitation for candor. The resulting conversation has more depth and truth. Our alert listening opens the doorway to true intimacy. It leads us to questioning, not in a combative tone, but in a tone of genuine inquiry. We want to know, really know, the other's thoughts. Such attention is flattering and leads away to authentic communication. Our attention invites attention in return. The listening path can be contagious. When we truly listen to another, the other may follow our lead by truly listening to us. In an atmosphere of such attentive listening, we find ourselves moving even deeper into more candid and intimate revelations. I will end the reading of the book here because on a personal note, this is what really helped my relationship with my husband. He's very, he moves very fast, and I take a little bit more time to process stuff. And, he will talk and I will listen. He will interrupt and I may not respond. We really learned each other's way of communicating, and we're both very patient with each other now. We both attentively listen to the other, and when we see one or the other sliding back, being a good listener means that you also respond. And my husband can go on and on and on, and then he'll say, like, what do you think about that? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of processing it all. And I might be talking and he may interrupt, and I'll be like, hold on a minute. But this chapter was one that really helped us out and be better communicators. Thank you guys. See you next week.